The Joe Rogan Experience.
And now they're watching these influencers, which is another thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have these trans influencers and they promise these girls that if they just go on T, everything will get better. And the problem...
Why do you think they do that?
Okay. So why do they... A couple of reasons. So one is testosterone has certain good effects. So it delivers a euphoria and it suppresses anxiety. And anxiety is one of their biggest problems. So they go on it and they feel great and they can't wait to tell their friends. It makes their period go away and it redistributes fat. So now these girls feel like, I just beat puberty. I feel amazing. I want to tell everybody how great I feel. And they are brave. All of a sudden, they're braver and socially bolder. The problem is, of course, what they don't like to talk about online is all the really dangerous stuff that comes with testosterone too. Like it leads to heart infertility, like risk of cardiovascular attack, heart attack, risk of heart attack goes way up. There's, body hair, facial hair.
But don't they want that?
So I think
the body hair, facial hair part?
For now, but it's permanent. A lot of this
body hair is permanent?
It can be.
But what about when trans women, when a man transitions to a woman, don't they lose a lot of their body hair?
They lose some of it, but some of them are, everybody's different, but some of them are stuck with a 5 o'clock shadow for life.
How does a kid know whether they are someone who's being easily influenced and someone who is giving in to this anxiety and you are a part of the way you're describing a contagion amongst your friends versus someone who's genuinely trans, like someone who genuinely is born in the wrong body?
So we have a 100-year diagnostic history of gender dysphoria. We know what it is. It's not guesswork. We know that it has, in this whole history, it typically presents in early childhood, ages 2 to 4 is when we see it starting, and it was overwhelmingly boys. Little boys who say, no, mommy, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl. Call me a girl. Only want to play with other girls. Only want to play with girl toys. And sometimes they hate their sexual organ. Sometimes, it's a severe, persistent, insistent, consistent feeling. And then a lot of them would grow out of it and some of them wouldn't, and they would become what we used to call transsexuals. Now we're seeing an explosion of young women, suddenly deciding they're trans with their friends, and they are doing it in friend groups. They'll have a whole friend group of trans kids. They are, doing it after social media emerged. And transgender adults never did it because of social media, and it certainly never won them friends.
So what about women that were trans? Like you say, predominantly it's boys who wanted to be girls. Right. But what about girls who wanted to be boys?
So that existed too, and that also typically began in early childhood. And most of these kids, if left alone, would outgrow it. So gender dysphoria is something that most kids, even if they experience the real thing, will outgrow, and some won't.
Yeah, I was reading an article about gender dysphoria. They were talking about it. First of all, even saying gender dysphoria, I think, is hate speech now. I don't think you're supposed to.
It's in the DSM.
I know.
Is the whole DSM hate speech?
Yes, everything. You're hate speech.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like everything's hate speech because people they've gone so wacky. But they were talking about there was a study done on men who experienced gender dysphoria at a young age and then transitioned to become gay, and just became gay. Just were gay, and they realized like this was just a part of their process, and they're happy as a gay man, and they didn't transition.
So that's very typical. Most of these kids would emerge as homosexual adults.
That's the thing, is just like, if we're cool with people being trans, and we are, obviously, especially adults, why is it better? Do we like this idea that if you just leave them alone, they become gay men? Or would we, how many of them would be trans if they were encouraged in that direction? How many are they happier this way or that way? Like, this is a very human problem.
Yeah.
And by human problem, I mean there's not really a good answer. Human problems are slippery problems, where it's like particularly you're talking about young people. We're hijacking their development. You're deciding, okay, have you made a decision? You know what you're going to do forever? All right, we're going to jump in now and we're going to stop your reproductive cycle.
Right.
We're going to jump in now and introduce hormones that were never in your body.
Yeah.
And we're going to, well, a little bit, tiny amounts. We're going to jack it up through the roof like fucking Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And you're going to be a different person now. And I hope you can make this decision at 17 that will affect the rest of your life. I hope you're mentally capable of doing that. And that's a tall order.
It's a tall order, and there's no medical oversight right now.